Welcome to the NRT Now podcast, giving you the latest in Christian music news, topics, and artist interviews directly from the largest Christian music site online, newreleasetoday.com. Now, here's your host, Jake.
Hey, welcome to episode 21, y'all. Hey, so how's 2020 going? Broken any resolutions yet? Kept any? Well, I didn't make any, so I have not broken any, nor have I kept any, so I guess I'm sitting even. That's one way to do it, I guess. But hey, we have a little bit shorter of an episode here. Before we get to my conversation with Avalon, which I have been very excited to have you guys listen to, I've been holding on to that for a little bit, and it's been burning a hole in my pocket or my hard drive or whatever that burns a hole into. But first and foremost, I just want to say thank you for listening to the podcast. You know, for those of you who have been with us for a while, thank you so much. If you haven't yet, make sure that you hit follow, subscribe, I don't know, whatever it is on your particular platform that you are listening to this podcast on. If you would do that, and also if you'd help us get the word out, hit the share button, share it to all your friends, share it to somebody that you don't know. I guess it makes great conversation for someone you don't know on the bus sitting next to you, or the airplane, or, make a friend, or make it awkward, one of the two. Also, we'd love to hear what you think about the podcast. We'd love your feedback. So head on over to the New Release Today Facebook page, the Instagram page, find the post for the podcast, and just let us know what you think. Our creative team director, worship director at my church has really invested in feedback over the last little while. I've been able to see the power of that feedback and how it's helped our team grow and the creative team as a whole grow. And I'm a very firm believer in helpful feedback. So I think that does nothing but help you get stronger. I know a couple of these episodes here in January are a little bit shorter than we're used to, and that's somewhat intentional because we're sitting back a little bit and we're listening to God to see kind of what God wants to happen with podcast in 2020. We're very excited for what's going to happen here in 2020, but in the middle of us planning and, seeing what the rest of the year is going to look like in the podcast, we still want to let you hear some of the conversations that we've had with artists in the meantime. I'm very excited for you to hear this conversation with Avalon. Just be on the lookout for great things happening here in 2020 on this podcast. Like I said, I'm excited. Kevin's excited. The rest of the NRT team, I think they're excited. I hope they are. Yeah, they're excited as well. The next thing I want to just touch on briefly is the We Love Awards. And probably by the time this airs, voting will have ended. It's going to be locked in. So now it's ready for the live event, the award show. And I booked my ticket to Memphis to visit Visible Music College. I'm excited to be there and witness this live. I know there's going to be a lot of awesome stuff happening with this. So make sure that you have it saved. It's going to be a Facebook Live event, so make sure you have that event saved. So when it starts, it'll notify you. It's going to be a great time. And if you're listening to this after February 25th, swing back to our page, to the New Release Today Facebook page, and take a watch. It's awesome. I'm really excited for the We Love Awards, and I'm excited to be there this year for it. So for this episode, I got the chance to sit down with Avalon, and I've been listening to Avalon for quite a while. Most of the time, I've loved it. We will hear about, a little bit later on in the podcast, just there's a period where my brother loved Avalon, so I couldn't love Avalon because that's my little brother, and that's kid stuff, but I've since grown out of that. On the way to this interview, I was listening to the Avalon Spotify list, and I just forgot how many songs had made an impact on me. And just even looking back at it now, I remember my brother and I shared a room at the time, and I remember him turning up the radio every time it came on or in the car. And now I look at those memories and they're fond memories. At the time, sibling rivalry being what it is. It's awesome for me to see Avalon come back and come back in full force, and being at the show that night. I mean, they're back in full force, and it's exciting for me to watch. I'm excited for you to listen to this conversation. I'm excited for you to hear from Avalon. So, let's get into the conversation. right, hey, we are here with Avalon. We got Greg, we got Danny, we got Jana, and we got Jody. Hey, thanks for hanging out a little bit late with us, guys.
Glad to be here. Thanks.
Thank you.
I was just saying, this is my second time meeting Greg and Jana. Last time was in Casper, Wyoming. Ooh, that was probably a decade ago, I want to say, by this point.
Wow.
Oh, my. Casper, Wyoming. Wow.
Yep, that was one of the one of the rare Avalon dates back in that era with Jeremy and Amy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And they were actually not, that was pretty new for Amy especially.
I was going to say, I've never been to Casper, Wyoming, so it wasn't with me.
Yes.
Huh. Well, here we are in Dallas, Texas.
So I got to say, one of my favorite memories, or one of the memories of that was this, kind of like tonight, there was an encore. Everybody's going completely out of the ordinary. I'm holding 4 mics, and all of a sudden I see Greg rush off to the stage. No mic, no nothing. I'm sitting here holding all 4 mics like, what am I doing here? What am I doing with this here? The rest of them are all looking, I guess we're doing an encore. And the mics run up on stage and...
No mics.
Wow.
Yeah.
You just never know.
There was an encore, but... Hopefully by the time this comes out, the new record will be out. So tell us a little bit about the album coming out.
Well, it'll be our first recording in over 10 years, so we're very excited. The new release is, the title is Called, and we've been working on this over the past few years, but our dear friend Jay DeMarcus from the band Rascal Flatts came to us about making a new record several years ago, and we've just waited for the right songs and finally got it done, and excited to have it released soon.
Jana, since you're the OG of the group here, tell us a little bit about the seasons that Avalon's gone through and where we're at now.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I won't say how long we've been doing this, but we've been blessed to have been doing it for quite a while. And, I think it was Jody that said at some point along the way that God could really put any 4 people up there. And if you had these songs, I think...
Now, hang on. You got to go with what Jody said.
Okay.
I might have said you could put boll weevils. I don't even know what a boll weevil is. It said it. But it's about the music, and the anointing's always been on the songs, and God has used them.
Isn't it a great reminder, you guys, of that it's not about me, it's not about you, it's not about us.
Yeah.
Because when you've had member changes, that's really difficult in a group, right? Mm-hmm. And so you think, well, why are we? But I'm telling you, it is. It helps us to learn, not in a bad way, like, well, it's not about me, but in a very positive way, like, hey, this is about God and Him using the songs, and I get to be a part of this for this season of my life.
Yeah, well, you saw it tonight. I mean, you saw people just singing along just about to every word of every song, and it's very humbling for us to think, okay, we've been able to be a part of something that's been significant in people's lives, and that's a big deal.
What a blessing.
Yep. And so, Jody, you were one of the original members as well, and now you're back.
Yeah.
And you shared a lot of your story about kind of what happened in the middle of that season.
Yeah.
Can we hear that for us on the podcast here who didn't have the pleasure of getting to hit a show?
Yeah. Greg and Jen are always like, do the Cliff's Notes version, shorten it a little bit. I think the bottom line is when I left Avalon in 2007, my life was just a mess. So many things. I was sick. My marriage was falling apart. There were just so many things, so many aspects of my life that were out of control. Avalon was busy. I mean, we were doing 280 dates a year. It was crazy. And so it was just time to take a break. And so we took a break, and I took a break for 12 years. And in that 12, I know, it was a long break. Yeah, a long extended break.
Just a little smoke break out there.
But the interesting thing is in that 12 years, God took me through some of the darkest seasons of my life. Depression, sickness. We lost a child. It was just boom, 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 boom. Yeah. And at the end of that, I almost lost myself. I almost gave up on life. And I'm here today because God didn't allow that to happen. He rescued me. And the great thing about God is that He does that every day. He can do that every day. And I want people to know now, and a large part of why I'm back doing ministry full-time is because I want people to know that regardless of how old you are, regardless of where you are in your life, God is working. Even in the darkest and most difficult times, God is working. And sometimes the dark, difficult stuff is not a mistake. It is all part of the refining process. And now I get the chance to sing these songs again with these fine people, and it all means so much more.
Yeah, well, and I talk about seasons, I think it's so important because the Bible's clear about seasons, right? There's a season for this, there's a season for that. And I think with Jana being here, kind of what, like you said, being throughout, a lot of times you have a tendency to say, well, that was a good season, this was not a good season. the song Jody sang tonight, which is one of our favorites, called "You Were There," when you realize that he was there through each of the seasons, maybe we didn't sense him as much, maybe we didn't feel him as much. We thought he was right there the whole time, and he's been right with us in Avalon the whole time, and that included tonight here in Dallas. And so I got to tell you, I mean, this is a really fun season for us. It's a lot of fun. We're having a lot. I don't know if you could tell.
No, not at all. Jumping around the stage, running around.
Just having a great time.
We're so bored.
Yeah.
Don't laugh at all.
Looked so labored up there, You're going exactly where I was going. You told your story right before you sang "You Were There," and you're talking about the miscarriages, in the middle of that, and that's been something that our listeners have kind of walked with through me.
Sure,
we've had 3 miscarriages. We have an 8-year-old, and we've had 3 miscarriages in the middle. And now, literally before you guys started tonight, I was downloading our maternity pictures. We are 29 weeks when we recorded this year.
So congratulations.
Awesome.
So we, by the time this comes out, it'll be baby pictures. But I was literally downloading the pictures. My sister-in-law did the pictures even yesterday. So it's very timely that this was happening, that you introduced the song and, now you're talking about the miscarriages and you were singing "You Were There." I'm not going to say that I teared up a little bit. There's someone cooking onions next to me.
We always say, it's the fans. Somebody turn on the fan,
Yeah, I was sitting under the AC. I like that.
Yeah, it gets, listen, I get it. And I definitely think that the loss of Caroline was one of the most difficult things. That with the miscarriages, they were horrible. They were horrible. I don't think we even got to the chance where we could put a name with it. It was still a life, and we were still devastated by that. But Caroline, we had decorated a nursery. We had given her a name. We had done all these things. And so, it was definitely the straw that broke the camel's back for me. Absolutely. And again, through all of that, we have seen over the last 5 or 6 years, God do something amazing and give my wife and I both the opportunity to be there for other people who've walked through this. So again, even in the darkest, most horrible situations, God is working. He is there.
All right, and so we got Danny, who's new to the group.
Hello, welcome. Welcome to me. Hello.
So I have to relate a little bit with you. In the VIP session, they were saying that when some of these songs were coming out, you were just a kid, or we'll say middle school to help these guys out.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
I was definitely in there with you. Testify to Love came out. Geez, I don't remember how old I was. We'll say teenagers to help you guys out here.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank
That's a
you.
good thing to say.
I'm trying here.
Well, I was a teenager when I was trying my hardest to sing "Can't Live a Day" in my room, and I have not since then nailed it yet. So I'm trying. I aspire to be everything that Jana is.
So tell us a little bit about your journey with Avalon, just kind of the influence, and then, now hanging out on the road.
Yeah, Danny.
Yeah.
Tell us.
So I met Greg and Jana 8 years ago. Was it
That's
8 years
crazy.
ago?
I can't believe it's that long
I know.
ago.
I was pregnant with my first child. Now I have 3. But it was just, I led worship with them for a summer, and we kind of connected that way. And I moved up to Syracuse, New York a couple years ago, and literally out of the blue, about, a year ago? A year and a half ago? A year and a half ago, Greg just calls. I'm like, Joel, Greg is calling me. Why is Greg calling? I haven't talked to him in however many years. And I was like, all right, well, maybe he's calling to recruit us for a church somewhere in the middle of the country.
I called for that earlier, if you remember that.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And so I was like, okay, oh, cool. And so he was just like, hey, so I'm going to cut to the chase. We're putting Avalon back together, and Jana said to call Danny. And I was like, what? Why would she have to call me? And so I was like, okay, what? I live in Syracuse, New York. Avalon, what is happening? I was literally, I was saying, trying to sing Can't Live a Day, and now I'm going to actually sing Can't Live a Day with Can't Live a Day. That's what I call her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. Yes. I love that. She'll go, yes. It's nice to be here with Can't Live a Day.
But no, these guys have been just incredible. And Jody coming back was just the extra icing on top of the whole cake.
I love icing and I love cake.
Yeah. Well, and let me just brag on Danny a little bit. This is Greg, but look, we're all special in the eyes of the Lord. He said, well, this person's special, this person's special. But Danny also has a very gifted. It's a very special gift as we're making this record, and the next song you're going to hear, it'll already be out when they play this, but at the second, because Keeper of My Heart's our first song, the next song that we're releasing to digital outlets is one that Danny steps out on, and it's the first one that you're going to hear from her on that. But she's got a very special voice. It's a gift that God's given her. She can sing these really strong, powerful notes, like on the end of our big hit song called Everything to Me. It's a really high note. Well, she goes to that note and hits it, right? Really powerful. But then she's able to go on some of these more intimate moments, like the end of these, like Closer at the end, whatever. It's a very airy, like she pushes a lot of air through there, and it just sounds so sweet. So she's been given a very special gift, and that makes her, right away, people are going to just, as they get to come to a concert or hear it on the new record, they fall in love with not just
Sweet and spicy.
and spicy. Mike, we can't hear you.
Sweet and spicy. Sporty spice and sweet spice.
Like a spicy fudge brownie.
Oh, I get it because of the, okay.
I get it.
Someone really should have brought in desserts for this. I mean, this seems to be the theme. What's going on? Yeah. So all I have to say, when Testify to Love first came out, I wasn't a huge fan, and I'm getting dirty looks here. This is about the exit.
Are we? Oh, we still love you.
But it's because my little brother loved it, and you know how siblings are. Like, that was like an automatic disqualifier.
Yes, if he likes it, I don't like it.
So it was my little brother's favorite song. He's dancing around singing, and it was so awesome. I was watching some kids in the aisle next to me dancing, running around,
Wow.
just having the time of their life. And so,
Wow.
I'm excited to see you guys come back around. Later on, I realized the error of my ways. Testify to Love. The heck with my brother. Like, I'm gonna like what I like, right? Yeah. And so, Testify to Love, Adonai is one of my favorite songs. And there's so many songs I was listening on in the car on the way up here. Just so many songs I forgot that I've just loved over the years. Thank you. And I'm very excited to see you guys, resurge. And the album is called something or other.
There you go.
Called.
I don't think we could use two words. And
The title of the album is called.
there we go.
No fun.
That's what I missed.
And they're like called.
Called what? Yeah, the title is called.
The release is titled Called. There you go.
Oh, wow. Good job, honey.
Wow, that's a lot of work.
Hey, by the way, let me just say this. The record we worked really hard on for a long time, and I would say we're pretty picky in the song selection. When you work and you've been gone from making new music for that long, and you finally kind of put it to bed, and as I say, put it in the can so it's finished, and you look back on, I want to say we're really grateful. We feel like God's blessed us with a really good record. And we hope people respond to it. But when you're making art, when you're part of a process of creating art, you can't just do what you think everybody's going to like. You want to do what you feel you need to do as an artist. And so that's what we've done. We hope people appreciate it and like it. The bottom line is we like it, and we're excited. Like when we did Called, the new title record tonight.
Very Bondish.
Yeah, very Bondish.
Isn't it very?
Yeah, but you know
It
what?
is.
I love doing that song. I love doing that song. And I love the fact that song, I just do the little part in the first verse. Danny does a verse, Jody and Jan, it's like a group effort on that song too. So I think people hopefully will respond to that. We hope they do. Bottom line is we like it and we're passionate about it, and we're so glad to finally have a new record out after all these years.
Yes.
Awesome. So we got the 5-minute sign like 8 minutes ago. So I'd like to wrap up just to see what the heart is behind this album, what the theme is, and kind of what, like, less about the music, but more the heart that's gone into it, the life that's gone into this album, and what we'll hear from that.
Well, I think it's a little bit of a lot of things. We are all a little bit older, and we've lost loved ones. We've dealt with losing children. We're raising children. We're essentially taking care of aging parents. It's a little bit of everything, but I think for me, just the one constant has always been the Lord in my life and his faithfulness to me, and really through Avalon and through us personally. I don't know that there's one specific theme, but I feel like God, kind of handpicked these songs for us, and he allowed us to find them. But doing this now as opposed to doing it X amount of years ago, there's been life lived, and there's been tragedy, and there's been some success, but there's also been a lot of difficulty. And I think we just sing now from a different perspective than we did in the beginning days.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think we're in an industry that embraces youth, and there are a lot of really good young singers right now, brilliantly talented people. But I think about what I knew when I was 27 and all this started, and what I know now at
29.
And for 29. That's right. It's been 2 long years. I'm just grateful to be where I am, and I'm grateful to have create music with what I know and the God that I know now. Yeah, and we hope that comes through in the music that we've made.
I think if you look at the first single, keeper of my heart, Father of the stars, you traded heaven just to hold me. So what God did for us when God sent his only son to die for us, he not only just takes our, we get forgiveness of our sins through that, but he lives with us. And so inside of us, and the Spirit of Christ is inside of us. And so each song, as you go into the record, I mean, I could tell you stories about each song like that, but that's the underlying theme, which is, in my mind, God is with us, living inside of us. We're living life with God with us. And that would affect each part of our life, not just this part or that part, but each part of our life is affected by God being with us and inside of us. I think that's a part of what we're sharing is our life journey, and we're sharing it in these songs. And we couldn't be, and we're very, by the way, thanks for helping us get the word out. With people like you guys, it's been a long time since we've done all this too. And so thanks for helping us get the word out about the new music. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for taking the time, and we are very excited for the album.
Thank you. Yay!